What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. And I do apologize if I look awful and I sound awful. It's because I'm very sick. The last little while, I have been feeling terrible, and I honestly probably should not even be filming right now. But I'm going to anyways. So if you guys like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, because the second this camera turns off, I'm probably going to collapse. So please do that for me if you could. But we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs here and what they could be doing leading up to the draft. You could be watching this before the draft, during the draft, after it, a few days after. Just know that I'm just talking about what's going on right now. And if something changes, then I can't predict the future. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I need to talk about here is the goaltending situation. So Chris Johnston was talking about the fact that Kyle Dubas is still talking to Jack Campbell, but Darren Dreger has said those conversations haven't really gone anywhere. It's not really about, details of a contract. It's just them kind of trying to get a feel for each other and see what the numbers look like. And to me, that seems ridiculous. You have so much time to do that. And it just looks more and more like Jack Campbell will be moving on from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what we've just seen with the Rangers trading Georgiev to the Avalanche, it looks like Darcy Kemper will also hit the open market. So two big goalies probably will be there available for the free agency, which I believe is July 13th. Now, the other thing that was discussed was Peter Mrazek potentially sticking around with the Leafs. Now, he's on a $3.8 million contract, which we'll look at in a second. But Kyle Dubas went out and basically said that he believes that Mrazek will be the goaltender that he thought he was getting when he signed him, rather than what he has been since he signed that deal, which I think is a load of BS in my opinion. He's probably still trying to move him, but at the same time, it's probably because teams aren't really biting, and the Leafs are going to have to attach something to him to get rid of that contract, which I still believe is possible. It's not the worst deal in NHL history, and far worse deals have been traded. But it's gonna cost the Leafs something, and I'm starting to believe that Kyle Dubas is not interested in doing that, but that's the only way out of that deal. Now, the other name that's been discussed here is Marc-Andre Fleury. Apparently, he would be interested in the Toronto Maple Leafs if he does hit the open market, which is a very, realistic option in terms of him going to free agency, but I'm just not sure what his deal would look like. He's looking for a 1 or 2 year deal, but I'm sure some other teams could offer him more money than the Leafs could. If you're offering him $4 million, does a team bite on that and offer him more? I would think so, especially if they can offer another year on top of that. And I think that's exactly what happened with Mrazek. The Leafs were willing to go that third year where other teams were only willing to give him that second year. Now it looks like it's costing the Leafs. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with the goaltending situation. But if we're looking at the numbers, Jack Campbell's looking to get paid. And I've said this multiple times. He hasn't gotten that big contract yet in his career. He's only gotten $1.65 million per, which is obviously a lot of money to any of us. But he's looking for that big cash in on a long-term deal. And I will show you guys, since coming to Toronto, he's been pretty fantastic. And, with LA, he's been really good as well. The playoff numbers this season weren't as good as people, would like to believe. But Campbell, and again, people need to know this. This season, Jack Campbell was really good for some of it and really bad for some of it. So it's like you're kind of taking a risk on, okay, is he just really good because the team was really good for those games, or was it he's just a hot and cold goaltender, or is he just good? You have to look at all the options, and in the playoffs, unfortunately, he was back and forth on being good, being not so good, being good, being not so good. If he just, saves a couple extra pucks, the Leafs are on to the next round, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to blame him for that. Definitely not going to, but he's been really good and he's been really bad in parts of the season, so you have to take that into account. Now, looking at Peter Mrazek, that $3.8 million with the modified no trade is not looking so good right now. But the thing that I will say, and I can't really blame Kyle Dubas for thinking this way, is that Mrazek has been a better goaltender in seasons past, but he's, the 40-game mark is kind of his plateau. But if, he's putting up these numbers very similar to what Jack Campbell's put up, some of these numbers not as good, but he's had some good stretches with the Hurricanes, and even the Red Wings going back a little bit back. So if you can get, better production from a guy like Mrazek, then sure, it makes sense. But that's a huge risk that myself, if I was the GM, I wouldn't be willing to take. But again, that's why I'm sitting here talking on a YouTube video and he's GMing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, it's just been one of those days for me, guys. Sorry, I'm trying my best here, but excuse me, you're gonna get a couple of those in this video. Chris Johnston. After Dubas met reporters, he then went to meet with Rasmus Sandin's agent here in Montreal. Obviously, I'm not in Montreal, but this is what Chris Johnston said. It's significant, I guess, because obviously he needs a new contract. It's his second deal, and he doesn't have a ton of leverage. So the big part here is that he's not just concerned about money. It's arguing over how the contract looks. Or sorry, guys, I'm losing my mind today. It's his concerns aren't just money, and it's not just how the contract looks. It's where his role is on the team. And with Giordano, Riley, and Muzzin ahead of him on the depth chart, I think that's what needs to get smoothed over. Now, I don't think Giordano's ahead of him on the depth chart, and I know some people disagree with me there, but I think that the whole point of having Rasmus Sandin develop is that he would become a really solid second pairing defenseman. If that means trading Jake Muzzin and you can get something significant back, I would really potentially think about doing that. If you just lose Rasmus Sandin, especially if it's an offer sheet, it could be like $4.1 million or whatever. That would only be a second round pick going back to the Maple Leafs. And I don't want a second round pick for Rasmus Sandin. He's worth more than that. So how do you make a bigger role available for him? I think Liljegren's deal was really nice, that $1.2 million. That's less than what I thought he was going to get. I was thinking that there was going to be a bridge deal a couple of years with Sandin for like 2.5. But it looks like he's looking for more than that, and he's looking for a bigger role. And that's kind of concerning. I really like Rasmus Sandin, and I do think that they should have a spot available for him. But Kyle Dubas can't just let him dictate what he's going to do. But the Leafs do have an opportunity if they want, and they do believe that Rasmus Sandin can take that next step, that they could trade Jake Muzzin or just trade Justin Hall and just give that additional money to Rasmus Sandin, which seems like the more logical thing to do, and then tell him that he can play his way into that top four. And I believe that that's a fair thing to say. The other thing that I want to talk about, we won't talk too much on Sandin because I think there's more that's going to be coming from that. This tweet here made me sicker than I already was. The Toronto Maple Leafs are in the mix on Matt Murray, and he would agree to move there. Arizona and Chicago both looking for goalies. Now, like I said, this gave me an additional headache on top of what I already have, which is I don't need more. I get that Dubas likes having his guys and Keefe likes bringing his guys over here, and he played good for them in the Sioux and blah, 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 blah. But Matt Murray hasn't been good for some time now, and his contract is really expensive. 6.25. Sorry, for this year and next year. And his save percentage and goals against average has not been good probably since the 18-19 season with that Pittsburgh Penguins team that did really well. His playoff numbers in 3 games weren't so bad either in 19-20. But listen, I don't want any part of this. I know he had a couple good games here with Belleville, but I want absolutely no part of this. I know some people are saying, oh, it'll be 50% retained and this, that, and the other. I would only do this if it was 50% retained and then 50% more retained with a third team coming in. That's the only way that I could see this working. And I just don't want to go into next season with a Mrazek-Murray tandem. I just don't think that that's good enough. I don't know what Kyle Dubas is thinking here. It could be all smoke and mirrors. I don't know. But I would like no part of that contract. I respect Matt Murray. I'm glad that, he's building himself back up to, try to be a starting goaltender again, or at least be a backup goaltender. But that contract is terrible, and he hasn't been good for quite some time. If the Leafs are going to invest money, just bring Jack Campbell back, or go get a Kemper or, a Fleury or somebody that you believe can actually play a good amount of games, rather than Murray and Mrazek both being, injury prone and not being able to give you quality starts. So we'll have to see what happens. Excuse me. Oh my God, guys, I'm really sick right now. I'm not even joking. I'm going to check my Twitter one last time to see if there's anything going on while I'm live on this. Well, not live, but while I'm making this video. It doesn't seem so. David Pagnotta from the fourth period said, expect the Leafs to be among the teams to seriously pursue Kemper as a UFA. I don't know how they'll afford him, but that would be something else. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. I love and appreciate you guys as always. Let's hope this video doesn't get outdated the second I post it. Peace.